In this session, we will explore the newly updated ICD selector, allowing you to quickly search, map, and use ICD-10 codes in all areas of EHR and the mobile app. You'll discover how to use the ICD selector and ICD-10 mapping functionality, as well as learn what areas of EHR you may need to update for ICD-10. Let's start by viewing the ICD selector that is now available anywhere within EHR where you search for and select ICD codes. Currently, I have a chart item open, the Info tab of a patient note. To select a code, click anywhere in this box. From here, you have multiple searching options available to search for either ICD-9 or ICD-10 codes. You can enter in part or all of an ICD-9 or 10 code or description, SNOMED code, or in abbreviated terms such as CHF for chronic heart failure. Using this method, ICD-10 codes appear at the top for your convenience, while ICD-9 codes appear below. Select the desired code or use the refinement feature to further drill down to the accurate code. I'll click this icon to open the refinement screen. The full list of possible codes is on the right, but I can filter this list to find the accurate code by selecting the applicable options on the left. I'll select the appropriate code to make my final selection, and it is now associated with my chart item. If you would like to add the selected code or codes to the patient's problem list, click this icon. If needed, you can also remove a selected code by clicking it. Let's explore the remaining search methods that have also been enhanced for ICD-10 with extensive mapping and refinement functionality, starting with the pick list option. We will see how you can update the actual ICD pick list from the admin section later in this session. To use here as a search option though, select pick list and then the desired pick list. The codes within your list appear below. For any ICD-9 codes, notice the ICD-10 icon. Clicking this will show you the possible ICD-10 codes your ICD-9 codes map to. Then, you can also use the refinement feature to help you narrow down your search to find the accurate ICD-10 code, as we saw previously. We'll now look at the From the Chart option. Selecting this will show you all previous diagnosis codes that have been associated with the patient's historical chart items. As we've seen with the other search options, you can select the ICD-10 icon to include ICD-10 codes within your search and also use the refinement feature to find your code. The same functionality is also available within the final option, From the Problem List, which when selected initially displays all diagnosis codes that have been added to the selected patient's problem list. As mentioned earlier, the ICD selector is available within multiple areas in EHR, wherever you can search for ICD codes. For example, for this patient note I'm currently documenting, the note template itself was configured to include a multi-select with ICD CPT template control field. While documenting with this field for my note, the ICD selector is available after clicking the ICD option, where I have the same searching options and mapping and refining functionality we saw before. You will find this same functionality available within the following screens. Please note that drug interactions have also been updated, so it now checks for drug interactions with ICD codes that have been added to the patient's problem list. Now that you've seen the ICD-10 updated ICD selector, let's review a few areas you may choose to update for ICD-10, starting with ICD pick lists. You can locate this feature by first clicking Admin and then ICD pick list from the System Setup section. Prior to making any changes to your pick list, though, it is important to know that it is not required to update your existing ICD pick list or create new ICD pick lists to include ICD-10 codes, but you can choose to do so based on your preference. Remember, within the ICD selector, within the pick list search option, you can use any of your existing ICD-9 pick lists and will readily see the ICD-10 code possibilities by clicking the ICD-10 icon, and will also be able to use the refinement functionality to help you quickly map to the appropriate ICD-10 code. With this ICD-10 mapping functionality so readily available, you can opt to not take the time to update your pick list or create new pick lists with ICD-10 codes and instead just use your existing ICD-9 pick list and the mapping functionality. If your preference, though, is to include ICD-10 codes in your pick list, you can either update your existing ICD-9 pick list to include the needed ICD-10 codes or create new pick lists with only ICD-10 codes. Add each needed ICD-10 code to each pick list and click Save. If unsure as to which action to take, create or update one ICD-10 pick list to start and practice using the pick list search option in comparison with the other available methods within the ICD selector throughout EHR so that you can determine which searching method will best meet the needs of your practice and decide whether or not you need to create or adjust any existing pick lists. Let's briefly look at 3 other areas within EHR that you may need to update for ICD-10 depending on your usage of these features. We'll start with patient education, located in System Setup in the Admin section. I have selected one of my patient education documents. If you have entered in any associated diagnosis codes and used these to search by within a patient's chart, you can update these to include ICD-10 codes. Click here to use the ICD selector and use the mapping and refinement options to select all needed ICD-10 codes and click Save. Be sure to do this for each of your patient education documents containing associated diagnosis codes. Any Health Watcher plans may also need to be updated for ICD-10, accessible by clicking Health Watcher and then Health Watcher templates. I have selected one of the plan items within one of my Health Watcher plans with the order type and have clicked the ICDs link. If you have any Health Watcher plans containing an order plan type with ICD-9 code selected, you'll want to use the available ICD selector to include the needed ICD-10 codes. Another area of Health Watcher containing ICD functionality is the auto rules, which determines which patients qualify for the Health Watcher plan. The most commonly used ICD rule type option is ICD in problem list, and since the ICD-9 codes in your patient's problem list will remain, you will not need to make any changes in this screen for your existing patients. For your top 2 chronic conditions, it is a good idea to create a new Health Watcher plan containing only ICD-10 codes for any new patients going forward. This way, you'll see no disruptions to your Health Watcher workflow for existing patients and can slowly transition to the new code set. The final area we'll look at is patient reporting, located in the Tools section. I have selected one of my saved reports showing me a list of diabetic patients. I have updated this to include ICD-10 diabetic codes by adding an additional line. You can use any of the available options to include ICD-10 codes as needed. In my example, to ensure my report will look at both ICD-9 and ICD-10, I have used the OR qualifier so that I will see patients with either code set. I also used the like starts with option and then entered the first 2 characters of diabetic codes. This way, my report has been expanded to include any ICD-10 diabetic codes. Be sure to save your changes. This concludes the Mastering ICD-10 in EHR video training. For more training resources, be sure to reference our help files, and in the video training library, be sure to view all of the PM and EHR videos listed in the